All right, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the October edition of the Reflex Buzz. EJ couldn't make it today, so it's just myself as the host. But my two guests today, we have Cristian Tabush. How's it going, Christian?
What's up, guys?
And we have the chairman of the 28 SRA. How's it going, Mr. Danny Sanchez?
Hey, good to see everybody.
Good, awesome. All right, so just real quick, today we're going to start talking. We're gonna talk about the 2025 SRA 28 SRA Grand Prix Series, the Ohio, Iowa, and the Pennsylvania, and
Yep.
then right after that we're going to talk about the Reflex Racing RX Gen 3 debut. So with that being said, Danny, great year, man. Great year for 28 SRA. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's a really good reestablishing year. Kind of building on what had already been out of the foundation that had already been started years back for with 28 SRA, and a little bit shifting some of the directions and shifting some of the priorities, but really just the same of trying to build community inside 128th. And I think we did a good job this year, considering where we started from. So with the three races, I think the best way it got described by everybody that I think we can hang our hat on is that every race got a little better. So if we kept improving, I think that's a huge win.
I totally agree. I actually like those three venues. I love Park Lane. It's my family's there. But Ian Hobby's huge facility, right? And then
Yeah, yeah, and Bruce was just. I mean, look, every race venue we went to, the owners, between Bruce, Nick, Enzo, and Ellie, they're just the greatest people and care a lot about racing in the community, and that that just made it easier to make some great races.
yeah, I concur. So the finale at Park Lane, it was a blast.
Yeah,
I had so much fun.
the finale was a blowout. I mean, just absolutely, just an incredible, sold out race. The event itself from one end to the other was just very well run, well organized, well attended. There was a lot of really close racing throughout the event. Uh, I think that probably the dumbest down version of what I could say is everybody was having fun. It was just fun. We were just having an absolute blast.
Just the vibe,
Getting
right?
to the vibe was amazing. We're just all having a good time together, and a lot of sharing information, and a lot of really good buzz for how the 28 SRA kept on improving, and this was kind of like the finale, and it the big trophies were there, and the medals are there, and there was the contested close points for the finale, and the people who were in the finale were there, so it was those all those last points were being raced against. And yeah, I mean, it really came down to just some of the last races for the trophies, and it was just exciting. It was just fun. I mean, a
So
really good environment.
so I have a very friendly and healthy rivalry with Alex Soto, right? And
Yeah,
you heard right the little video, the little song when the East is in the
yeah,
house, right? But tell me
right.
the level of competition. It was
Yeah, I mean, the level of competition was really pretty incredible. There was some like not just one-on-one races. There was some races where it was four people competing for position, and they were all close on the track. So it made it really exciting to watch. And San was you did such a great job calling the races, and of course the excitement builds off the RD. That makes a huge difference. But just the 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 energy that was at the track was just amazing. Definitely, well, in that end, and not to skip over things that we were eventually going to get to talking about, but the layout. I love the layout. I know some people at first kind of complained about the layout. I thought the layout was incredible. I think it's one of the best ones that we've raced on.
I don't think it
And
was
it made it
complaint.
really
It was more of a concern. I don't think it was
concerned.
a
Okay, all
complaint
right,
because
concerns. All
because
right,
so backstory real quick, and I'll do the condensed version. So
yeah.
that layout is actually two layouts that was sent to Danny, but he didn't like any that were like a whole. So he said, "Hey Sam, what do you think if you take this portion from this one and this right side of that one, but I don't want a hairpin in the middle. Can you put me a lollipop in the middle? And I was there for hours. But anyways, the layout was amazing. It flowed.
It
It had a
was.
little. It had a little everything, right?
I'm gonna
Every
I'm,
element.
I'm gonna interject and I'm gonna say, yeah, Lonely Island was like what you liked. I will say that's the one thing that even though I liked it, I don't think that's good for a big race. And I will say it was because it was very difficult to marshal, and it caused some issues. So in the future, like I think I've always said, coming onto the straightaway, it should be easy because if you create accidents coming onto the straightaway, like A1 of 3,500. You did a great job calling, except for that one A1 where I got away and on lap 3 I was lapping the field and nobody even knew that I was coming up. And I had trouble on that straight. And it's not because of me, but I saw a lot of trouble marshaling that area and people jumping across. So while it was a nice challenge to have, Lonely Island should have occurred on the close side instead of the farthest away part of the track.
Feedback taken.
Or on this
Although,
corner right here, somewhere where it doesn't mess with visibility. That's the only criticism I have. But I love the layout. It was very raceable. There was tons of spots to pass. That was the only concern. It was just an issue of marshaling, not even about skill, because man, you could make or break your lap in that section. And I really enjoyed it. Like if you sent it through that chicane on the left side and then you got that section right, like you were half a second faster. So
agree. But in the
my
RD's defense, though,
criticism is only on, hey, it was really difficult to marshal, and when people were jumping out in front, you would lose your car. That's
Yeah.
the only thing, right?
okay. So now RD needs to defend himself. I thought your car was orange.
Yeah, it was.
It was red, wasn't it?
No,
You
it
had
was
two
orange.
different colors.
No, I
It
did
was,
not.
it was
Really?
reddish
It was the
orange.
same body I ran all
It
weekend.
wasn't bright red. It wasn't
Just
bright
no,
orange.
like
Just like what you
I
said.
came up on the field super fast, and you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for a couple of laps to settle," and all of a sudden you say that, and I'm already on people, and I'm like, "Yeah, Dan, like call for leader." They didn't. No, it was because I got around EJ because he tapped, and everybody crashed behind us. So like after the first lap, I had a massive lead, and that first main in 3,500 was just there was a lot of traffic, right? Navigating through all that. And listen, I'm not complaining in the sense that I knew I wasn't going to make A3s, so whatever. Like I think it is what it is. I wasn't concerned about it. Or no, A1, that was A2. A1 is when I lost my screw. So I wasn't concerned about it, man. Like it's not. I'm just saying, hey,
We thought about
being
after the fact.
facetious. Like you did a really good job.
Thank you.
It was a situational thing. You can't be
That,
perfect.
co-
I mean,
that corner
yeah,
and
good job.
another corner, we thought about after the fact that it would have been better to use sticks, like sticks to
Spatulas?
marshal rather than jumping on the track.
Yeah.
So
The
we made
stick would have landed on a car, man.
it would have been. I'm not saying it would have been perfect. I'm just saying it would have been better to
Yeah, no,
stay off.
I just think that for like a GP race, you need to have a clear run out to the straightaway, like have that chicane, whenever you do furthest away from you to have those features because of perspective, it's harder to see them.
Yeah.
So I think that you could have had that same corner on the bottom right corner, and it would have been awesome,
Yeah,
right? Like,
Point taken. Point taken.
I mean, whatever. I mean, this is just me being picky. I think the layout was fun. The event went really well.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry guys,
It was-
I'm
it was-
outside. There's some mosquitoes.
It was the main
Oh.
thing. It was had some good speed and it was challenging. So
Mhm.
that's the main thing, especially for a final GP. I think it kind of accomplished those goals.
So
Yeah.
I concur. The vibe, the energy, the excitement, the fun factor, everything, the competitiveness. I mean, it was incredible. Teching, teching was awesome, right? At every event, it just got better, better, and better. And
Well,
it, and,
well,
and
I-
at the end result was really, really, really close racing in both the 2,500 Blinky hard shell and the 3,500 Lexan. I mean, the numbers don't lie, right?
Uh, I still think that there's stuff that has to be revised, right? The teching was
Right.
great,
Mhm.
but I still think we're teching the wrong things, right?
Probably. We'll talk about it a little bit more. All right. So
But
go ahead.
the event went through. There was a lot of DQs. I mean, so that means that they were very strict and
Yeah,
people
we're
were
watching.
pushing it, right?
Yeah.
So
You have to push
uh,
it. You have to push it, right?
yeah, they
What do
kept
they
pushing
say?
it, man.
It ain't cheating until you
A
get
lot
caught.
of people. Like, I've never seen a race with so many DQs, man. It was like,
Well,
get out of here.
welcome to the
Yep.
East.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Damn.
Enzo don't play, man.
Everybody kept coming up to the pit table and they were like teetering. And the guy, I kept coming up there. My battery's like 837, like I'm not even pushing it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like 840, 841, 840, 840. Like, guys, like it's not gonna make a difference.
Right, exactly.
I'm only cute because your motor is a 2790 at the beginning of the
Listen,
race.
we said
At
it.
the end of the race, it's like 27, 2810,
Nope, we said it.
2800,
We said it on
Oh,
Thursday and
out of here.
Fridays. We said it on Thursday and Friday's drivers meeting. We're not going to let
Absolutely.
nobody run them down, right? We
Yeah.
kept emphasizing and reiterating: protect yourself.
Oh no, that was the
Protect
rule,
yourself.
and it was
Protect
the whole
yourself.
series.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We were
No,
consistent.
but it was funny that,
Mhm.
man, I've never seen so many people fail tech, man.
And
Let's go.
that's one of the and that's one of those things. Get plenty of warning, right? And it is not hard to calibrate your charger to make sure that you're
Nope.
under every
Or
time
cut
you
your
walk up
wing.
there.
Mhm.
It's
It
not hard.
wasn't. It wasn't the organization's fault. Let's put it that way.
No.
I'm
But
just
the thing
making a
is
joke
that
for it. It was like,
they're making choices of where they calibrate their batteries at, and the people who maybe couldn't calibrate, there's plenty of people to ask to make sure that you did calibrate the right number. But that's one of the reasons why the event went as smoothly as it did, because there was no holdups. We kept on going. The races kept on moving. We weren't like stopping for. We had. I think you could count maybe barely over one hand the amount of 30-second, 1 minute minutes that we gave people, to go and try and get something fixed or transponder working, because it was talked about in advance. Look, we're moving. Get your stuff together. Be ready to go. Get the tech. There was a lot of people up at tech almost instantly the minute the other drivers went up the stand. There was people waiting in tech already, getting their cars tech, not waiting till the last minute to plug their battery in, and thinking that
and that's how it should be,
that's how it
right?
should be.
Like that's how
And
any
that's what we had.
serious organization does it. So
Yep.
good
And
job to that.
that's what we had, and that's how it kept on running smoothly. We kept on moving throughout the
Mhm.
day. So it had like a good flow, and that was part of the energy too. Is you had to be ready to go, because there wasn't a bunch of other people who were slowing things down. If the few
Absolutely.
people who were late to the table really stood out because everybody else was on time. So that really made a
Mhm.
difference.
I agree. Okay,
It did.
so that was 2025. Let's talk about 2026. So before we get to the
Yeah.
tracks and the dates, any tweaks, any modifications, anything that us racers should know about, and RDs and organizers?
So moving forward into 2026, there's going to be some very, very small tweaks to the rules for 26. But one of the biggest things that we want to make a difference for this next year, we feel like it's going to begin the process of uh, uh, maybe creating more meaningful changes really in 2027. We start talking about motors and ESCs and other things that can more equalize the game in the races. We want to bring we one this next year is we'll be looking for manufacturers, sponsors. We'll be looking for more sponsors for this year. This year we kind of just ran the races. I funded Silver Horse funded all the expenses that the tracks didn't have to bear. Every dime, by the way, is worth saying again. Every registration dime from every race went to the track. SRA took no income from this year whatsoever, not a dime. So the tracks got paid all the registration fees, and that's how they got their support. And then they had some expenses, of course, in between, but uh, SRA bought all the trophies and brought everything to the race. Well, next year we do want to bring in some sponsors to help cover some of those costs and allow other people to participate too in the growth of 28 scale. So this next year will be more of that ability to participate. But the other thing we want to do too is bring some of the manufacturers in closer so that we can have those conversations of how do we go about creating products for for end of 26 for 27 that are then going to match better where 28 SRA is looking to create a more evenly yoked classes where we have more competition and not such a variance between what people are using this motor against this motor and this ESE versus this ESE. But what we're trying not to do is other people work just fine with handouts. What we're trying not to do is trying not to restrict the usage of any items in 28 SRA. Want to keep it open if that's all possible. So that's probably one of the biggest changes in moving forward in 26 is trying to take that step forward to um, aligning at least a types of motors from manufacturers that can be used for the race that are close in their designs or at least in specifications, right? But not necessarily one manufacturer, but maybe one part that works good in the series. And 2500 is a good example of there's a good amount of motors that are being used that hey, they got their pluses and minuses. Some got more top end speed and some got more low end torque. If we can find a balance between the two in a type of motor and the manufacturers can help us develop those, well then that might be a really good thing.
Awesome. I thought I heard rumors, and please let me know if it's a rumor. There's going to be a class that's going to replace with another, or is that still up in the air?
No, I think we're pretty well decided. I don't mind announcing because we've already kind of talked about it and made it. I'm not keeping it secret, but two-wheel drive mod has always been one of the kind of poster classes at most events and usually draws a crowd to watch. Well, there's really not many people participating, and I think it's because 3500 lipo has kind of taken over that class lipo 3500 for most of the fast guys that enjoy running it. So for the GP series, we're going to drop two-wheel drive mod, and then we added for as a exhibition class this last year. 2500 pan just to give it a try. And it was actually really well attended all year long. With anywhere from eight to I think we had 14 people. So that's a pretty good class. I mean, Formula One doesn't always get that many, and it's a very enjoyable class. So we're going to take two-wheel drive mod out of the GP. Of course, it stays in the catalog of 28 SRA types of classes. But we take it out of the GP and we plug in 2500 pan. The thing we're hoping for 2500 pan is there's a lot of people who really wanted to run 3D printed cars, and that was one of the reasons why we created the class. I don't think we had any 3D printed cars running that class. So if hopefully they realize that it's a great series to come out and race in. And come enjoy. And it's it's a class that's open to everybody, so that'll be really nice. I've joked about it a little bit. Sand's not a fan, but I'm wanting to turn 2500 Panda to 2500 Lexan and just anything Lexan. 2500, put a Lexan body on it. Euro truck, NASCAR truck, anything.
Both,
Put a
Volkswagen
Lexan on it. Let's go.
Awesome. Okay, so tracks, right? You said you firmed them up. You have the 2026 tracks, and do you want to give them a shout out and give us some dates?
So the first race we are super excited about. So we are going to be under the lights of Las Vegas, April 30th to May 3rd. That is going to be absolutely amazing. I didn't know whether or not there had ever been a big race hosted in Vegas, but Cristian actually told me was there a Worlds hosted in Vegas before, Cristian?
Yeah, 2008. 2008 was PNW Cup World. The PNWC was in Vegas. It was at a convention center off strip. It wasn't like in old Vegas or New Vegas, but it was Las Vegas. We got to go hang out after hours after the races to Caesars and go celebrate a couple of wins over there. But it was fun. It was 2008. So that's been
a couple of
17 years.
Yeah, that's been a couple of years. So we can't claim that we're the first big race in Vegas for 128 scale, but it's been a while, and I think it'll be very, very cool to go back, and I think it'll be a great draw. Especially the West Coast.
You're going to pull the West Coast guys, right? And there's a big contingency of guys in LA. That's not a far drive for them, so I can see them heavily attending.
Yeah,
and maybe that'll get them to participate in the rest of the series.
And that's going to be at Binion's on Fremont Street. So that's Old Vegas. And all the information is going to come out here shortly. We're just catching up from being gone this last weekend, but we'll start releasing all that. And then the second race is going to be in Colorado at the end of July, last weekend in July. And then the grand finale is going to be the last weekend in September.
Wait. So Colorado, we're talking about 5280.
5280. Yeah, I'm
5280.
sorry.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
5280 in the last weekend in July. And then the finale is going to be in Hartford, just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, at RC Madness. And that's going to be a fantastic race. I have not been to that facility, but everybody who San went and scoped it out already, said that the
Chris is good
facility is
people,
great.
man.
People are really
I've,
nice. Yep.
I've
Yeah.
known Chris for like 20 years, and he's a good
Wow.
dude.
You know
A
who
customer.
you know who the RD there is, Christian?
Valdez.
Valdez. Yep.
Valdez. Yeah.
Alex, man. What's up,
Yeah.
Alex? I know he moved down. I've heard. I love Alex, man. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's an OG mini G guy too,
Oh
man.
yeah, he
Yeah.
is.
I think
Yeah.
Alex. I don't know if Alex called the 2006 Worlds. I think he may have
He
been the
called
one that called them.
nationals at Pittsburgh at Dixon. He called nationals.
No, but I'm talking about like the 2006 Worlds were at RC Madness. That was the second ever PN World Cup.
Mm.
That one was over there. That's where I met Chris Marcy, right? And then the year after, I went over there for the 118 scale nationals that they used to have. I don't know if they still have it, but that was a fun race. I don't remember if Alex who called that race. May have been Chris. But that was a fun event a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Well, I'm looking forward. I think 2026 is gonna be awesome. It's just gonna be another year to showcase what these 28 scale cars can do. Talking about showcase, that's the segue. The Gen 3 for the most part was showcased and debuted at Park Lane.
Sure was.
Cars amazing. But I'll let Christian talk. He was there.
Now you guys talk about it. I'll listen.
So I would listen. I was the RD. I didn't get a chance to walk the pits and figure out who was running what and blah blah blah. But I did get some help. Shout out to the Aberdeen crew for helping me out with setup and keeping my car straight while I was calling races. My car felt great. I ran the oddly enough I ran the McLaren 720S. I took A1. And then I came in third in, I believe, in A2 and A3. Overall, I came in second behind Joe Katona. Car was planted. Car has so much corner speed. Christian, I think, marshaled one of my qualifiers. He came back. He was like, "Man, that car looks good." Um, and that's pretty much the feedback from the rest of the team drivers and some of the customers that were there that were running the Gen 3 from the Katonas to the ALN Speedway guys, the Nate and Ron and the Marcanos. I believe Danny, you were running a Reflex. Your car was dialed. You were sitting top in the B main. There was a lot of competition, right? Um, I
Yeah,
thought I didn't think I was
that was
gonna.
my fault. I choked in the qualifiers. That
Yeah.
was all me. Yeah, that was all me. I should have made the A, but that's shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yep, and I ran my car without slip discs. I mean that's
Yeah.
that's that's how
And that's
that's how
that's
good.
that's something that we've discovered, right? Like that we don't need the discs on the Gen 3 and 2500. Like we've been able to get away in the faster classes because the tire kind of heats up more and tends to push more. But in 2500, where you're not going very fast and you run very low dual rate, because I usually am like 60% dual rate. That's what took me. Like I struggled the whole week. Obviously, man, you step into the Lions Den. I didn't expect to go in there and win. But by A2, I had the second fastest car there, right? A2, I came in second behind Joe. Actually ran him down for the first half of the race, but he was running some of the new Silver Horse batteries. I was on the 400. We didn't have this boy ready yet. And I think I faded a little bit more than he did. I missed it by like a day, really. But no, and what it was is like I took off the discs, right? And I remembered in Iowa, I just went with this because that's what I was used to. But whenever we tested after the Iowa race, I was running my G3 when we went 2/10 quicker than I went the whole weekend with the G2. I was running it without discs, and I don't know why, but that A2, man, I was struggling, and Q3, I ran a 98.9% qualifier. like 3 to 4 tenths of a second slower than the guys in front of me. And I qualified fourth with it because it was just such a clean run. Like Soli made one mistake and I beat him. And Soli was like a tenth quicker than me in that heat. And it was from the B sort. And it put me in fourth. In A1, I even got to second, and I was in second for a large part of the run. And I was almost in first, running slower than everybody because I had discs. On the last corner, Soto undercuts me, and like he sets me up. He's like, Cristian, I'm gonna pass you. And my car was pushing so bad, and he just cut under me on the last corner and passed me, and he beats me in that A1. So after that, I was like, man, the car's pushing. I took off the discs and I went out because I hardly practiced that weekend, and I took off the discs. I put the car down, and I was like, oh yeah, it's on. A2, people got in trouble on the first couple of corners. I got behind Joe. He had like a 2.7 gap on me. I cut it down to 1.2. And then my car just faded a little bit more than he did. But I brought it home a very, very distant second, but a third was a lap down. And it was confident. I mean, that's all I needed to do to be able to clinch the series. And I knew I wasn't going to make 8.3s. So whenever I finished there, I was like, all right, now I just leave it with Faith, because the only one that could beat me, or Faith, not Faith, but was San, and he needed.
Yeah.
I think you needed a win after that.
Nah,
after I did that, you needed a win.
I needed a TQ. You were too ahead in points, so
Oh, okay.
I needed to TQ to get the 3 additional points. And Joe's fast. You're fast.
Joe's fast.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, and Joe was. I mean, I think if it would have been in a different situation and cared a little bit, because by the end, like that's how I usually do. I mean, same thing was at the end, right? Like I didn't put it together at the last qualifier, and then the mains. Oh my gosh, Jose Martinez, stop texting. If you're not watching the podcast, go away. Anyways, 2,500 is hard, man. Like there's no way around it, and especially with you guys up there. I mean, I struggled finding speed. Like my motor was just junk, and I think the battery thing is kind of leveling off. And I know that one of the things that we've discussed with Danny, and I think it's important, is that we instill a maximum dimensional size. Not that any of those batteries were above that, but I think that's one of the things that we have to kind of lock in when it comes to rules. But the motor rules, there's certain things that we'll have to tweak.
You can give everybody a preview on the battery rules, and because that's
99%
done.
I think Danny and I have been talking about just locking in a maximum dimensional rule, right? And having a decal on the battery, right?
Well, we had talked before a year ago about doing a maximum milliamp, and we didn't pull the trigger on it because just something didn't quite gel quite right of doing that. But I had good talk with Cristian. We got to talking about dimensions and how that really does control the milliamp, because you can only build so much into a milliamp battery with the dimensions. That controls that. But what really came out of this last race, kind of drove home for me, was got to be a recognizable battery. We just got to eliminate the witch's brew,
the oddball shit,
the oddball stuff that we can't recognize and we don't know what it is, or the stuff that's had the labels removed and the soft packs removed, and it needs to be a recognizable battery. So I think the rules this next year will change to, one, we'll have a maximum size for the battery, and we'll talk about what those are going to be, but it'll be a maximum size. So we'll have a dimensional limit, and then it has to be from a recognized manufacturer in the 28 scale. It's got to be from one of the manufacturers that we all know, and it doesn't mean that somebody else can't come in; they'll get approved, but it's got to be a battery that we know.
So I think can I suggest that you do so what you do with kits at the moment, right? Where you have approved kits, you'll need to prove I think to just make it
an
simple.
Approval list comes with
list
that.
Brand.
Right. It'll be
so
approved
like,
list. Correct.
Reflex.
And listen, the logic behind a dimensional, before anybody has a cow, right? The logic behind a dimensional size is
Mike
twofold,
texting you,
right?
Is he sending you text? Oh,
Who?
no battery changes. Mike, is he sending you more texts?
Oh.
Don't change the battery size.
But this is what we've discussed. Is like, one, the last thing we want is 1,000. I mean, facetious, but a dozen different case sizes, right? And then you can't have a standard part that fits across all platforms. Like, I think it's pretty settled that a 24 millimeter battery that is, 44.5 to 45 millimeters wide is pretty standard. What we have to lock in is the height. Anything under that would be okay, right? Because it doesn't have more capacity. But the second we don't lock that in, are you going to start seeing square packs? Are you going to start seeing cars built around a battery, right? Oh, maybe we'll make a 700 million. In it happens at the PN World Cup where Philip has never had that locked in, and you see it like a dude in F1 was running like a 900 milliamp hour battery one year or something like that, and it's just listen, like there's a certain point where you just got to go, come on guys, like let's play within the spirit of the rules. Like at this point, like the stuff that you got to do, it no longer is even practical. So standardization is needed so that we can develop the platforms and the chassis from a manufacturing point of view. We need it. Everybody else does it, right? This is a maximal the dimensional size. As technology improves on the cell, that's where you'll see a gain. But otherwise, what's going to happen is everybody's going to be, oh man, I'm going to make this battery 2 millimeters bigger or 3 millimeters or 2 millimeters tall. And it's never going to stop. So there has to be a maximum dimensional size. I propose, not because we came out with a 13 millimeter size. That was Joe's idea. And the reason is because we already had a 13 millimeter size, right? But the smaller battery is a 13 millimeters tall. And it's plenty of battery. I mean, we don't need more than what we have available in the market.
It's no different than motors, right? We have a max can size for motors, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that'll continue to escalate too. So that's why we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing that we've discussed with Danny is like, hey, we will have, or SRA will have, the manufacturer and the SRA will have conversations about an eventual point where we get to where there's an approval list of some sort, right? I think that's the only way outside of doing handouts that we're going to get. Just standardization is good, guys. Like at that point, you can pick your flavor and not have, oh, you got to have this unobtainium motor or ESC to go into a weekend, and then you show up and maybe you're an external visitor to the series. And I think that's where we have the most damage caused. Like, hey, the guys that were in it, we know, hey, run a sensorless ESC, find a motor that's close to 2800 kV and go, right? Like, we know that. But you got a guy off the street. What's that?
I said send it.
Send it.
Yeah, absolutely. But you got a guy off the street. One, they're hard to drive, right? Because they're on-off switches. Two, a guy off the street comes off that may be very competitive at his club, and he's coming to this race and he's hoping to do really well. He shows up with his sensorless, his censored ESC setup that he spent, $120 on or $100 on motor, and he's off the pace. And it's like, oh, those guys are cheating. No, it's just like that. There's certain things that the guys that have been doing this for a long time know that I think.
And some guys are faster just on the track, regardless of the car they have.
Absolutely, no, for sure.
The same motor, they'd be quicker because there's guys like Joe Katona.
But the second they look at this,
car you give him, he's going to be faster on the track.
And the problem is that whenever they see that, they're like, perception is everything. Oh, that guy must be doing something different because I am a hot shot at my local track.
Right.
And nobody should be faster than me, and they're whooping my tail, man.
Hey, Danny, wasn't that you last year?
The year before.
Okay, the year before.
Last year I figured it out. That was the year before.
These efforts are cheating.
No, 100. It's the little fish in a big pond. You come out of your little pond and you think you're king of the world, and you get into the big pond and it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's a lot we got to learn here. Yeah,
absolutely. It is, and you learn that by attending these events. Because at the end of the day, the majority of people, they may not share every secret, but I think Reflex as a whole is pretty transparent. There's some team guys that think that we hide stuff, but we don't. We share everything.
I'm an open book.
Yeah, you are too.
My friends are like, damn, do you really have to share everything, San? Oops, sorry.
Along those lines, I have a question that actually Joe gave me a response to that I thought that was very insightful, but I'd like to get your opinion on this because I was talking to Brian about it today. So at
Which Joe,
at
Katona or Chen?
Katona.
Okay.
No, Joe Chan's still not talking to me because he thinks I still want to get the piranha early. So
But you do
he's not
though.
answering
You
my
do want to
calls.
get the piranha early.
He's not answering my calls. So yeah. So, uh, but I noticed that I was these last two races. I am not using as much rear rubber as I used to. Like in the F1, I am not ghosting the tires in one or two sessions, like I had in the past. Um,
Some tires are abrasive though.
I was able to run the same rear tires for actually 2 days, and they still had tread left on them. And Katona actually, I said something that I thought was very insightful, but I'm curious whether y'all agree.
I'm going to tell you the insightfulness of it all.
Wheel
Well,
But
spin.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know. I'd really like to know. So anyway, Katona said, I think it's because you're getting more traction. You're slipping less.
Yeah.
So
So it's two things.
I
Yeah.
would like to get some
Absolutely.
more
But
insight on
what changed in the last two races?
He went censored.
No,
Wait, what?
I got a lighter
we had
car.
reflex.
I got a lighter car. Yeah, I know that.
You got
Yeah.
reflex cars.
Yeah. So
Our
the
car's a
reflex
lot
car,
easier on tires, buddy. It
yeah.
is. I ran the
Is
same set of tires in both classes all weekend. One set of tires all weekend in Pennsylvania. Mind you, I didn't practice a whole lot,
Yeah.
but one
Yeah.
set of tires. And really, I'll tell you that's the biggest thing is like you're running. Our car is super light, right? So what happens when you run lighter cars? Your tires wear less, and they have more grip. You
Yeah.
know, our car,
I
they
definitely
have
think
a lower center of gravity,
yeah,
so
I
you're
definitely think that
working the
I'm getting
tires
more
less.
grip. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely more grip for
the,
sure.
the car rolls less, right? Everything about that car from the previous car you were running wears tires is easier on tires. Like our car is much easier on tires than the competition's cars. And race 2 and race 3, you went all reflex, and that's the result. You know, whenever you're running cars that are right on the limit of weight and that are designed to be easy on tires and have a lower center of gravity, that's I mean, I'm not trying to be. I told you, no, it's physics.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just surprising. Now, to be fair, Brian was running another chassis that is a little bit on the heavier side, and he noticed a little bit of the same, but probably not as much as I did. But I think it's also because his car, he's got a lot of time into the car, and
But he
and
also switched chassis.
that car is quick. Yeah, he tried both. Um, but my car for sure, my tires are lasting a long time. I mean,
Mhm.
I could have my F1, I could have run the same rear tires almost the whole weekend. I just chose to change because it's like, okay, I need to bust in a new set of tires at some point in time. So I broke in a set on main day, um, just to try something different. But it was quite amazing that they still had a lot left.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Christian, you showed just a few minutes ago. You showed the battery. Can you post it again? It does it have pass through? Does the terminals go all the way through?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
We didn't do that because I don't want people to short out their stuff. Right. This is our own case, unlike everybody else's battery. Like we made our own case. Obviously, we went with a 13 mil instead of a 12.3 millimeter size. Coming from the same factory that everybody else is getting theirs. Why did we do a bigger battery? Was because the way that we position our product line is our 20 millimeter battery is like a general purpose, anybody's car fits, kind of, not all out performance. I think our 400 is still probably going to be the better battery for modified racing because it's not going to have as much punch. Now, what you can do with this one is that you can short charge it because it's got so much capacity. Like we call them true spec because it's a spec racing battery, and true because it's the true milliamp hour rating. Like I initially, whenever we made them, we thought they were going to be 405s, and I was like, all right, we're going to call them 405s. And the factory sent me video and pictures of it 460, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's got to be something wrong with this dude's charger. Sent me samples because I tested the other ones, and they were 380, and which is still better than our 400s at 8.4 because our 400s are 400 at 8.7. And when I saw that they were 460, I was like, I couldn't believe it. But we did this because we wanted to maximize a case size. We wanted to try and see what the difference was. And we didn't want to put the pass through on there because regardless of it, they're having a different label on the back, we have a warning label. It's hard to see because our stuff is so faint and by design. But still, at the end of the day, people will go in there and they won't pay attention. They'll mount it on backwards, and we didn't want that to be so we decided we opted against pass through. I guess if we could have done non pass through or pass through, the wiring would have been a little bit different. But I didn't feel like we wanted to change the orientation of all our batteries. We wanted to keep it kind of a standard. The battery is about 3 grams heavier, so there's substantial amount more of material in it, because the case is not much heavier. It's just half a millimeter, 0.8 of a millimeter taller. But there's a substantial more amount of battery in there.
Do we have to run
Very
that
happy with
shim?
them.
Do we have to run the shim underneath the center?
Oh, you're
center shot
gonna
crown?
have to you're gonna have to raise your you don't have to run that shim. You can run a half a millimeter shim, any half a millimeter shim, and just raise the center of shock. Yeah, and listen, the idea is that this is a stock battery, right? Like for mod, you'll still run the other one's like a low CG battery. In whenever I came up with the dimensions for the batteries that we use now, because we were the first ones, obviously. And I was the first one that I debated on my desk. I was like, man, what size are we? I've told this story many times. What size? This size, that size. I got to get the maximum capacity. And at first, when we did a 20, it was like, I got to go 13. I wanted to do a 12.5 because the batteries were like 12.3, the soft packs, but I needed more capacity. So that's why we went with 13. And then whenever we came out with the other ones, I was like, all right, we can go back down to that. And the reason why we made it a 12.5 was because I wanted to drop the shock more. I mean, these batteries, that battery that everybody has was designed for the RX-28. That was the dimensional size, the case size was optimized for our suspension. And it was optimized for our top shock. Now, since we already had the other battery that was 13 millimeters, we have that shim. And we were like, all right, we can just use that shim or just use a regular half mil shim where the countersunk screw goes, and you just space it up. The pin on the bottom of the chassis still works, right? And the battery fits perfectly. I mean, it's got a little bit of side to side movement right here. The weight comes up a little bit because the G3 is pretty light. I mean, I think you guys have noticed that the G3 as we ran it like this car with the Piranha body. This car is
Oh, wait,
160.
what is that?
This is the
What am I looking
Piranha.
at?
The Piranha.
Ooh, the Piranha.
Yeah.
That's the hard
It's the
shell now,
same.
right?
That's
Yeah,
exactly
it's
the
the hard
same as
shell.
the one that I have right here.
See, check it out. We got the body clips right there. 2 screws hold them in this way vertically. You can move them forward or back.
Yeah, so you corrected me on that. What's the purpose of moving them forward or back if it's not to mount on standard cars versus our car?
To mount the body forward or back, change the bias, right? It gives you the ability to do that. Now, it's got indentations on the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right here and back here, they're covered by the Lexian. But back here and back here, there's indentations where you can drill it out and mount it up
Perforated.
with post. For those guys that like post, I'm gonna tell you this: the body fits tight. I'm not gonna say that it's not gonna pop ever, but it's a really really tight fit. Like the body shape comes in, it's got structure. So pulling it apart, it's not easy. It's not like a Joe Marone where you just go. Boop. No, this is like you gotta pull, and it snaps in place. So I'm not saying that you guys have to run it this way, but for those that like running it that way, you can. The body clip is extra reinforced. Like I designed the body clip, and it'll never break. The front is pretty tough. Like we do have a carbon bumper that'll protect it a little bit more, but this front is pretty tough. It's smooth, right? So it's going to slide off the rails. the way that the splitter was designed, if you look at it, it's got a big splitter right here, right? But the splitter doesn't protrude on the sides. It actually kind of blends in with the sides. So it's designed to slide off rails. The splitter makes a huge difference. If you want a car that's less aggressive, you're going to grind this down, right? Whenever you do mount the body, right now it's neutral position. If you want to mount it forward, you will have to probably shave the back of the wheels a little bit, probably in the back. Yeah, because we're moving it this way. No, towards here. But it was designed for that. Like the roof is 0.3 millimeter Lexan, so it's really light. When you don't run the side clips, the body's exactly 25 grams, right? With the Lexan wing, Lexan roof, and windows. It comes with two wings. It's going to come with a flat wing like this one, and then a curved one like what we have on the Catfish. And it comes with clips for the RX-28 that can be biased forward or back 1 millimeter. Now, will it fit on the Kyosho cars? Yeah. On cars that are like that, you're probably going to want to go with the body post positioning. I didn't do the side clips. That was a RADBODY thing, but I'm not opposed to making a file for side clips for those that want side clips, so that they can fit on more standard cars and maybe 3D printing a few, maybe providing the file. I don't know what we're going to do with that, but this is meant to be on the spacing for the RX-28, right? That's the initial idea. You'll be able to mount it on a Kyosho because you'll have the ability to move the clips back, right? A millimeter, and these are so it'll be a millimeter forward, but it'll work. Let's put it that way, right? Um, Joe did a really good job on these. Like, I mean, I'm the project started as, the initial PN World Cup when I won stock in 2005. It was with a McLaren GTR. And after Paris, I told Joe, I was like, hey, man, because we've been talking about making Mako Catfish for a long time. And the deal was if I made Joe an F1, he would make me a plastic body. That's what we tell everybody because that's really kind of how it worked, right? Joe wanted an F1 really bad. He's the original PN World Cup champ in F1. And after Paris, I was like, you know what? I had been thinking about it for a long time. I always wanted that body because I always liked it, but it was always so narrow. I was like, dude, I just want you to widen a GTR and give me that body. Just flare out the sides, short overhangs in the back, really short front, low center of gravity, super, super smooth edges, very, very simple, super light because there's not a lot of material there. And this is what he came up with, right? Obviously, we changed it so that it doesn't look so much like a GTR because of the litigious nature of being in the United States and an American company. Like, you can get sued for that kind of stuff, but it's inspired heavily by McLaren GTR, F1 F1 GTR. You can see it in the rear. Now, we opted to go with stickers instead of headlights. One, to make it more durable. Two, to make it easier to make. So all these are stickers, right? So it's like a amalgamation of a Lexan and a plastic body. Kind of took best of both worlds. Not having headlight buckets makes it a lot tougher in the front, and then also less stuff for it to catch. I'm sure that people will be able to paint them on if they want to. They are molded, like the shape of the headlights is molded into the body. But that's about the extent of the detail outside of the grill. The grills are molded in. There's detail there. But initially, we had molded the rear tail lights and everything. But we were like, hey, let's just make a sticker because it looks good. It's easier. It's lighter. And believe it or not, like this project, even though it took a long time, like it was put on the speed dial over the last 45 days. It was like, dude, we're not gonna make it. Like, we need to rush this. And we were able to thread the needle and make it on time and make it right on time with what we got. Now, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, oh, where's my body? I ordered. Listen, like, we're running about 5 to 7 days on lead time on orders right now in the shop. Like, the last 100 to 120 days the shop have been insane. First half of the year was slow, but the last 100 days or so have been just we're trying, man. We are working as hard as we can, but we got about 5 to maybe 7 day lead time on orders right now. That's the business day. Um, Mostly because a lot of it is heavy volume dealer orders, and we have to kind of break up into two the day. We work on a little bit of wholesale and we work on a little bit of retail, but the volume has been so high that it's been hard, especially after, dude, kits just take a long time, and then after the kits came the conversion kits. Then we have these right here for your PN 2.5s. You know, that's another thing we got to package. Now we got these, and we got the Lexan bodies. So there's been so many drops coming one
where's my
after the
AAA?
other.
Where's my PN2.5 LCG?
This is it.
Let's go. Look at that. Danny, you gonna pull yours out? I am.
Yeah, I am. I ordered extra, so I'm building one. Yeah, I'm gonna build my 3500 with one.
Alrighty. So guys, let me go to chat. We have at some point we had 22 viewers. Lots of viewers today. Probably because Danny was gonna be on. Alrighty, so we have so many people, guys. I'll if I catch your name, I'll give you a shout out. So the first question is coming from Sam, actually. Lipo 3500 Lexan is Blinky. Reasoning on Blinky versus Open Speedo.
Come on,
Why
Sam.
is
Come
Lipo
on.
3500 blinky and
Come on,
not?
Sam. Come on, Sam. Is that really a question? You can take it, Danny, but I'll give him. I'll beat him up over it.
I can let me give him from a club racer slash RD for club racing. It'll be faster than probably mod. Right.
Yeah,
The
they'll be
the reason
going
the
mod
reason
speeds.
yeah,
Yeah.
the reason so solely introduced this class at Aberdeen. I want to say, I could be wrong, give or take 6 months. I want to say back in late 2022, early 2023. Because our track was small, right? And the mod car, like, super stock back then was a 3500 with swap rotors. Those cars were faster than the 5500 motors. So we started running 3500 Lexan, and it was almost the ideal speed. It satisfied those who wanted to go fast, like from like the AAA class, but not too fast like the mod. And then the mod guys started running that class because they were just as fast. So from a club level perspective, that is the quote unquote the mod class. So again, that's from a club perspective. Danny?
From the race perspective, it is important to try and level the playing field as much as possible, and keep it competitive. Keeping the ESC and blinky mode helps quite a bit with keeping it in a more competitive place, because not everybody is as savvy with tuning the ESCs. It's a learning game, and we want to encourage people to come in and race. And then, of course, the people who want to race a very competitive, very fast class, they're enjoying it too. That is the most popular class as it exists right now in 28 SRA. It is the most registered for, only a second, in a close number by Lipo 2500. So people love it. Um, I think it's competitive. A lot of great people who are racing in there, and I think the people who are even in the C main, who are still learning their way up, I think they're enjoying it too.
Yeah, the Blinky keeps it simple. That's probably the gist of it, right? Once you listen, we all run the hobby wing motor, and from a technical point of view, that motor's got the same strength as a 4500. Like the stator resistance is the equivalent of a 4500 kV motor. We call it a 3500 kV because that's how fast it spins, but the actual wattage output of the motor is the same or higher than what a GL Racing 4500 kV motor is. So in a way, it's a mild modified class. You start boosting that, and it gets too hard to drive for the average guy. Like I mean, it already is pretty super. It's
concur.
already pretty fast, and again, the purpose of in competition versus club is to have something that is easily accessible, right? How many people can drive mod? And we saw, like Danny said, a lot of people shifted down to that class, myself included. Why? Because man, it's the perfect amount of speed. Like you go any faster than that. And while I think a 4500 kV motor, 15 millimeter can is easier to drive than this 3500, like in a perfect world, like if I wanted a perfect mild modified class, that would be it. 4500 kV, open pinion, maybe blinky, because they don't have the rip. This is a really easy class to drive on a big track as far as speed wise, and you got a little bit of everything. 2500 is a bit like watching paint dry. And while there's a bigger motor issue in 2500 that there is in 3500, because everybody just runs the hobby wing, right? And pretty much call it a day. It's the great equalizer. If you could do that in 2500 and you had a great equalizer like that with a readily available motor and ESC, then you would do that. But that's what's broken about that class versus this one. It's not broken because everybody can get a 3500. And whether you do the rotor mod or not, it's fast enough to where you can compensate with driving skill. Like my motors don't have anything done to them. And I was every bit as fast lap time wise as EJ. EJ may have had me by a 10th, but he was actually trying and I wasn't. Like I was just there for the fun. He helped me out a little bit with setup. I mounted one set of tires and I never touched my car again the whole weekend. I didn't practice. But my motor is one of the original old 3500s from Hobby Wing. It runs good. Slap a 12-tooth pinion on it, and it's competitive. You can compensate a lot because of the speed with driving and driving clean and driving tight lines. Whereas, anything slower or faster, it just gets too hard. Slower, it's a lot more equipment dependent. So if you ask me, like I think it's the perfect speed.
I concur.
Right.
People want to go.
Alrighty.
People want to go fast, right? And that
Mhm.
class is accessible.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
accessible.
Agree. So we have the owner of Slick RC. What up? Brian Sweeney is with us. So shout out to him. He's a first time viewer, I think. Or maybe not the first time viewer, but maybe the first time real time. EJ says, good evening, fellas. EJ, I DM'd you. I hope everything's okay. Brian Sweeney actually says he liked the entire track as is. He thought it was amazing, one of the best so far.
Yeah, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soto, why hello, boys. Soto from San Antonio, Texas. Talking about Soto, so he went there. I'm sorry, I'm gonna put you on blast, Soto. So he went there with other cars. I think every single car broke, and so Lee loaned him a Gen 3, I believe.
No,
Or
it was a
maybe
Gen 2
a
flat
Gen 2.
chassis.
And this
And
guy,
all of a
he's
sudden, John Dixon started sweating.
sweating. Yeah. But shout out to Alex. Oh man, he's
So yeah,
that's my
Soto
brother.
drove his ass off, man.
Yep.
Like he looked good. I mean, I think if he was on a G3, he's every bit as fast as John. And John may have had him a little bit on consistency. I mean, John drove his ass off, guys. Like Soto put the pressure on in a couple of runs where his car was actually a little bit better where John was a little lost on setup. That one of those A mains, like man, Soto put on the pressure, and Soto's driving. Like I haven't seen Soto drive this good in a long time, if ever.
Yep.
He was actually straight up like very fast, and I told him, man, like if you're on a G3, much like if Dixon would have been on an Ocho, he would have been a couple of tenths faster. Same thing for Soto. If he would have been on a G3, he would have been a couple of tenths faster as well from the G2. And man, he drove clean. He was looking smooth. I think Soto's a contender for the World Cup. I heard he got himself some G3s, and I told him, I was like, man, we're here to support you and help you with setup and whatever you need.
Yep.
Soto was going to be sniffing a podium. He drives like he drove in Pottstown. He's going to be up there, man. Like golly, that dude was on it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was wheeling it.
Moving on, we got Tap Duck Tim from Cruisin'. Did you guys at Parkland use the SC in 2500 hard body class or the flat plate? I think it was 50-50. I used the SC with the McLaren.
It wasn't 50-50, but there was a couple of flat plates. Let's put it that
Joe
way.
Catono took first with a flat plate.
Katona was running on flat plate?
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, I think him and Juan were the guys that were running flat
The only
plates. Was
two.
Mike running?
No, SC like
Mike
myself.
was running the SC?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So it was you, me, Sartar, Kelly.
Sarter. Come
Yeah.
on, say it. Sarter.
Sarter.
It's
Sorry.
Yeah,
Tartar.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
like Dixon trying to say sand.
exactly.
Tall.
Yeah, you can't say it.
Tall.
Right.
uh,
Sarter. Like tartar sauce.
okay. So then he goes. What is the weight? The SC's light. I think my SC with the McLaren was 164 grams. Tim. Okay. So let me see. Any other questions? There are so many. There's a guy or person. Sorry, Minimax37 is asking: is the Piranha coming in any other colors other than white?
That's a rad body question, not a reflex question.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'll talk to Joe about it, but it's easy to spray paint them.
Yeah.
I really don't know at the moment. Like, we're just worried about getting enough out before. I'm gonna tell you guys, like, we've had a lot of orders recently, but when I released the pre-order today, in before we segued into this last segment, like I was talking about the piranha. I say piranha because that's how you say it in Spanish and in Portuguese. But the piranha was a project that we had to rush, right? And we wanted to make the deadline. And Joe came up with a process that a lot of you guys didn't respect, but of how we could get bodies out for the PNWC participants. So basically, the first week was going to be an order, not a pre-order. These are bodies that are secure, that are in our facility, that are ready to ship, right? That was gone before the 11th came up. They were sold out by last Thursday. Some in part because some people that weren't supposed to ordered some, and some that didn't. So I added an additional because we have a bunch more at the end of the month. And I contacted, including some dealers, and I was like, hey guys, like I can't ship you these until I ship everything to the PNWC participants. Out of the shop, David has a list. David's one of the guys that works with us. He has a list of all the participants for Super Stock and Stock at the PN World Cup. And he is shipping those bodies in the order that they were received, so long as you are on that list. Whatever's left over, we will ship to the people that ordered ahead of schedule or that have ordered before. But we're going to give priority to any participants at the PN World Cup. What happened today, whenever I updated the pictures and I started a pre-order, is an entirely different set of orders, right? These are due at the end of the month. And I say end of the month, they're supposed to ship next week, but you never know with customs. You never know with other things that may get delayed. I can't give you guys a firm date, but it's a pre-order. And there's plenty there for the majority of people in the world to get one, right? Like, we got another 500 coming. I don't think it's going to be enough, but dealers like Silver Horse, like Danny at Micro RC Syndicate, John at Iron City, Richie at Broken Hobbies, Nick at Wolfram, Super G, Marca, RC Orange, they're going to have them in stock. So even though we're sold out, go to your favorite dealer, they're likely to have some, right? And that's going to be able to supply the market from now until the next production, which will probably be in another 30 to 45 days. Everybody that goes to the PN World Cup should be able to get a body. Like, we set aside 100 bodies that we're going to take over there. And if you weren't able to get one on pre-order or on order, or if it's going to show up late, you show up there, you will have, when we show up there on Thursday at the track, you'll be able to come up to me. I've made the decision this year. I know that we talked about it last year, but this year I'm not racing. I have plenty of drivers doing it, and I will have bodies, and Joe will have bodies, and we'll be able to work something out for you guys. I know that Joe also wants to hand out some bodies. I don't know. He's again, that's RADBODY. We just distribute them. What he does is entirely up to him. But there's going to be plenty of bodies in Colorado. Like
Awesome.
nobody that wants a Piranha won't be able to get one, right? Everybody's going to be able to get one, and they're going to be white. They're going to have a Lexan roof. They're going to have the clips. You'll be able to. We'll have the other question that I've got a lot is when's the carbon fiber bumper coming? 10 days, right? Like that's a little bit lagging, but we'll have an adjustable bumper that it'll have an adjustable nose clip height in case that you guys want to raise or lower it. And it also will have the ability to mount posts if you guys choose to go with posts.
Which will align with the perforated sections
with the
on the bottom.
perforations on the
Awesome.
section on the body, right? Because this has an entirely different shape. We weren't able to use any of the standard ones. Plus, in order to not dig into the headlights, we actually, we usually have a standard position that we use on all our bumpers. These are a little bit closer together, so it has to be a specific bumper. But that bumper set / clip is going to be available before the PN World Cup. I will have some at the event, and you'll be able to get them before the event as well.
All right. Nick has a question. Is there any updates regarding the Reflex 15 millimeter motor?
Yeah. We should have some samples of a 3500 soon. I don't have a date.
You said
But
3500?
basically what's going on is the design that we have, it's almost impossible to make a 2500. So we have a new design for the 2500. It's more traditional, but it's going to have some cool features. Like it's going to be mass produced, so you'll be able to get it. 2, we are going with a rebuildable setup, right? You're going to be able to open it. 2 things there's a benefit from this. 1, you can't twist the end bell because the end bell is going to have to be screwed on. If you twist it, the screws don't go on, right? Additionally, you'll be able to open it up and see if the rotor is a spec rotor. The rotors are going to be engraved. The stator is going to be engraved as well. And it's going to have some timing advance. It's not going to be a motor that has 10 or 20 degrees. We'll have substantially more timing. And we're also making custom rotors for them. Like they'll be higher quality stainless steel and the magnet. We're going to have a couple of different types of magnets that you're going to be able to pick from. So if you're on a big track, you'll run this, and small track, you'll run that. But the idea behind this is, again, is one of those things that we've been discussing openly with Danny. Danny will have access, like we'll sell these motors under the Reflex and the Silver Horse brand. Ours will be black. His will be like, I think we talked about gunmetal. But essentially what we're doing is we're making a motor that's going to be competitive, right? Out of the box, readily available. That's going to be rebuildable. We'll have aftermarket sensor boards, aftermarket rotors. They'll be if you have a really good stator, and your sensor board goes out, like you'll still be able to use it. You'll be able to save that. Does that mean that you'll be able to build your own motor? Yeah, it will too. But I think one of the things that will come with this is my vision, and this is not SRA's vision. This is my vision for me is, hey, if we build a foundation for a motor that's easily teched, like the rotors are going to be engraved with a part number and probably a size, 14.5 S and 14.5 H, whatever, right? And my idea behind it is, hey, we establish who knows, maybe down the road we can say, hey, these motors, like Roar used to do it in the brush days, right? Your motors can be built to this spec. The motors are going to be 40 degree or 42 degree timing motors. Back in the day it was 24 degree, right? Or 36. 36 was Norca, 24 degree was Roar. So let's say we go, hey, this is a 40 degree timing motor. That's the rule. 40 degree motors have to be built within that spec, plus or minus 2.5 degrees. That's your spec. And then you go, hey, our resistance number, this is going to be a 29.5 turn stator, and the resistance number is 10, whatever, just giving a random number. And then after that, you can identify all those things. And then who gives a shit about KV? You got a big track, you run a broadband rotor, something that gives you a little more top speed. You run a small track, you run a stronger rotor, something that gives you, or we say, you know, these are just ideas, right? Or you say, hey, you open up the rules for gearing, you come up with a gearing set that's color coded or something, and you say, hey, max tooth count of 14 tooth for 2500, but you can gear it however you want as long as it's not bigger than this tooth, right? And then when you're there, you can say, hey, I like the broadband because it's smoother, gives me a little more top speed, so I can gear with a 13 tooth. Or shit, my track is only 35 feet long. Damn, I got to run a 12 tooth on that. Maybe I can run an 11, right? Because a lot of the time, like on my little track, if I run a 12 tooth, I blow up, the motors get too hot, right? I have to run an 11. Whenever I'm running boost, a 10. So those are the things that I think that whenever you start looking at a rule set, you go, okay, is it to a certain point harder to enforce? Perhaps. But if you organize yourself ahead of time, whether it's PN, SRA, Reflex Cup, whatever you want to call it, I think that if you have a standardized motor that's easily identifiable, you tech motors before the event, you sticker them before the event, right? You do pre-tech before you get on the track. Then you have a list where that motor is. Whenever you come up to the inspection table, you're just looking for a tooth count. Hey man, this is the approved pinion gear set that we have. You know, it's an SRA branded pinion gear set. It goes from 10 to 15 tooth. You can use any of them pinions for spec, whatever. You just look for that. Boom. You look for the motor sticker. Oh, that motor sticker's got that sticker on it. I know that that's done. If we're gonna do in the case of PN, you're doing a minimum body weight rule. All right, at the beginning of the event, you tag it, and then at the end of the event, or like at the end of every qualifier, top 3 guys get teched, and it doesn't change that, but it also speeds up the process because you're not having to look
Right.
for so many things, and you know that, hey, listen, if after Q1 you're 5th and you didn't get caught cheating, fuck it. You know, it's how sad is it that you're cheating and you're still not fucking TQ, right? So, um, I
Yeah,
think that there's
I do like that
that
post
is
tech idea.
my vision and my pitch to people is like, hey, we can start doing some of these things and have some controls. And if you guys like them for your club, maybe in the rules it can be written that in the specification of the rules, it's like, hey, motors have to have this timing range. Like that's how Roar used to do it. And so instead of having a 30 and a 20 and a 10, hey man, motors that are built to this specification, they got to have 40 degrees of timing, right? And then at that point, you're picking maybe a flavor, or maybe you're picking service. Maybe you're picking because, hey, listen, somebody wants to come to Reflex or Silver Horse and they want to buy 100 motors and they want to tune them. They want to match them. They want to build the best. They want to hand pick through them. And then that's how you get those aftermarket tuning companies, right? They buy from the OEMs, and we intend to be more like the OEM providers of these motors. And anybody that wants to get them from us, they'll be able to get 25 from us, and then tear them apart, match them, build the best ones for you or
Yep.
for sale. But at the end of the day, you'll know that spec, you know, there'll be a certain spec that you have to have, that whenever you go to an event, hey man, the first day before you get on the track, come to tech.
Yep.
You know, you'll have a guy there that's going to check it, and it makes everything run smoother.
So the 3500 and the 2500 are going to be 15mm cans.
Yeah, they're both, and they're different, right? The 2500 will not have adjustable timing.
Mhm.
Could we make one? Yes, but listen, I don't know what the rules are going to do, and I'm waiting on what Danny does. Obviously, what SRA decides. We're doing this motor should be within the spirit of the rules of the current class structure that we have.
Sorry, let me
Right?
rephrase my
It's
question. I was talking about the size of the can. 15mm
no,
versus 15
well, yeah,
millimeter.
no, absolutely,
16 and
yeah.
50. Yeah,
But
sorry.
I'm just saying, like, we had to make 2 different cans, right?
Right.
So they're both 15. The
Okay.
3500 is a 15mm can, but the stator is the size of a hobby wing stator because the can is the stator, right? So
Gotcha.
it's going to be comparable to a 3500, and our mod motors are going to be based off of this,
Okay.
right? So for the worlds, because in the worlds you can run prototypes, the idea is that probably John will be running some of our prototype modified
Nice.
motors.
Awesome. Okay, I have a question from Alex Soto. He says, Christian, what are you drinking? That's what's more important than anything else. The
It's
Soto.
just ice now,
Oh,
but it was an old fashioned.
It
an old
was something
fashioned.
else.
There you
Yes,
go.
it was something else.
Soli corrected me. Soli was running a flat chassis, so you are correct, Christian. Um, so Brian Sweeney from Slick RC, he's asking, will you have bumpers, those carbon fiber bumpers, available with you at Worlds?
I should. I mean, I'm going to
Okay.
bring plenty.
Okay.
We'll have them before, and I'm sure Danny's going to order a bushel of them. I'll bring some stuff with me, Danny. So,
Okay.
Brian, you'll have one in your pit
Awesome. All right, so it's 15
waiting
after
for you.
11. I have some more time. So if anyone is in chat right now, that if you guys have any questions for Danny Sanchez, the chairman of SRA, we'll keep it at that. If you have any questions regarding Micro RC Syndicate, Next Racing USA, and Silverhorse, go to the website and click on Contact Us. He's here today representing 28 SRA. Or if you have a question for Danny.
No,
I mean,
absolutely,
for
man. Like we
Christian,
don't.
sorry.
I ain't bitter. If you have questions related to his business, absolutely. He's one of our biggest dealers, man. Like he's a VIP in my
Facts.
world, and a
Facts.
good friend. Like Danny and I have become really good friends. I love shooting the S and talking shop with Danny. I think
Yep.
Yep,
he's a valuable asset to the community, guys. Like we got a good ally
Yep.
I
with
appreciate
us.
that, man.
We love each other
But
so much. He actually blocked me from texting him now. uh,
that's only on Fridays.
that's only on Fridays.
That's
Give
probably
you
to
some.
save you from yourself, Sam.
Yeah.
I know. That's true. That is true. Soto is what are you asking, Soto? What were the gains on the new hard body versus the rest of the market? So I witnessed that in Iowa. Can I say or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously we were doing testing on some of the prototype parts, and one of them was the Piranha body. And Christian used the same chassis that he used, the same car verbatim, right? Same car, same setup, same tires, same motor, same ESC. The only thing he
No,
did,
no, but
did you change
it
anything?
wasn't. Well, the G3 had the Piranha. The G2 had the
At Iowa?
yeah. The G2 had the Joe
Oh,
Moreno.
so then the numbers are skewed because you were three
But
tenths
no,
faster, but it wasn't
but
because of the body, right?
it was 2.5. It was 2.5 tenths quicker G3 plus Piranha, right?
Okay,
Versus the G2.
right.
And my G2 was already like I was killing everybody.
Yeah.
I think I had a couple of
Well,
8.4s, but very
Nick
very
Sarter was
sparing.
pretty fast though too.
And I was running 8.5s mostly, like low 8.5s, a couple of high 8.5s. I got down to a low 8.2 with the G3 and the Piranha. Now, I'll tell you this: like when we tested throughout, we've been testing this body for a long time. I did it at Dixon's when we had Stock Wars. At Stock Wars, I did compare because I was running a G2.5 there. Because initially we were going to be able to run prototypes. They didn't care when there weren't very many people there, so I was running a G2 for a G3 front end on my car in the stock class that I ended up racing against Dustin, not Justin. But when I went from the Joe Maremma to that body, I was seeing about a tenth quicker. Like I mean, consistently about a tenth and a little bit more. Um, the body just reacts much quicker. And I'm going to say this: it was a tenth quicker, and we never had a Lexan roof. This was a plastic roof. It was a solid 3D printed plastic body. It was 29 grams versus my Joe Maremma that was 24 and a half. This body without the side clips is 25 on the dot, and we have a 0.3 millimeter Lexan body that roof that weighs nothing. I I'm not going to go out there and say, oh, it's going to be much faster, but I think it's going to be worth a tenth or a tenth and a half over the Joe Maremma just because of the Lexan roof now, and it just changes directions much faster. It cuts really hard. It's like a damn slot car. EJ tried the plastic, the 3D printed version in Iowa on his 3500 car, and he only went a tenth slower versus a Lexan body. So I don't know how to quantify it, and I hate saying, "Oh, it's this much faster, that much faster." But listen, on smaller tracks is gonna wreck shop. Like there's no doubt about it. On a big track, obviously there isn't as much to be gained because really you're not having as many tight corners. You're not looking for direction changes that are as abrupt. But I still think there's going to be a gain. In at Iron City, it was a 10th. So take that without a Lexan roof. I think that with the Lexan roof, maybe we get another half.
Man, you're not gonna let me
Take
enjoy
that
my
with a
720, are you?
listen. The 720 is good. The only
It
issue that I
is.
have with it is just a little narrow,
It is a little
right?
narrow. Yeah.
Like you got to be like on 2.5
Nah,
offset in the
I gotta put it
rear
on
and
the. I
0
gotta
offset.
put it on the shelf now, though.
It's beautiful, man.
Piranha,
Like I
Piranha
really
all day.
like it. Like I made a bumper for it, right? Like because I think it's going to be a good body.
It is.
But you know, I think this one is going to be just a little bit better. I mean, I hope.
So EJ already
But
knows
the
this.
best thing is that there's going to be multiple bodies that work on the grid, and it's no longer just Joe Moremas. Is it going to be all
Oh.
Piranhas? I don't know. I mean, I think the 720's worthy. The PN body is
The
worthy. I
C9.
mean, Joe
Yep.
was running that. Yeah.
Yep.
The issue is sorry, let me finish that.
Right.
The issue with all those is that you got to do a lot of work to them.
Yeah.
This one, you build it and it's 25 grams.
Yep.
Like there's no magic, there's no voodoo. Like it's easy button, right?
Which
and I'm
is
sure that if you whittle away at it,
a perfect
How wide?
segue.
How wide can you get? How wide can you get on the back? Not that wider is always better, but how
Yeah.
wide can you get in the back?
you can run a plus three. You can run a plus three.
If you run an LM diff, how much room do you have?
You can get comfortable to about 179, I think. Right
It's
here.
too wide, isn't it? You're gonna have to run different offset wheels.
You guys can see it. This is plus threes, right?
So you're plus threes, and you're and you
with
still
a
got
millimeter shim on each, with a half mil shim on each side, which is my standard
Okay.
setting.
Yeah, you're inside. Yeah, that's pretty
So
wide.
you'll be able to go about a millimeter wider on each side with no issue. Like if you shave, probably a millimeter and a half more. So you'll be able to get to the 180 max, I think, under there if you shave
You
it.
said the Piranha fits right on the G3. Does the G3 also fit other regular bodies?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Or do you like the regular? Is it the regular clip length on the G3, or is it?
Oh no, it's a reflex clip length, and
Like
the
a normal-
Piranha
normal
the Piranha
reflex
has
clip.
the reflex clip length. It
Yeah, I
also
gotcha.
does.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. If
Okay.
you want to go now, that's what I was talking about earlier. Like I'll probably design some clips and sell some 3D printed clips, or I'll give out the download of the file people want to print it to mount it on like a Kyosho car. Initially, I thought Joe was doing both, but he was like, "No, we made it for RX-28." I think the MWX uses that same. I don't know what the Xbility, if that uses our clip set or the Kyosho. But I know our car and the MWX does use that +2.
The R1, yeah.
They're mounted further forward.
Yep.
Absolutely. So this will be a direct mount for those. And now what you got to consider is that you have 1 millimeter of play on the clips to play with. So if you mount it 1 millimeter further back the body, which you can, you'll only be 1 millimeter off on the Kyosho body. You know what I mean? Not 2.
But
but
it'll also fit the G2.
Yes.
Oh, the G2 and the G3 have the same mounting positions.
Right. Okay. Right. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna announce or rebroadcast.
Read it.
EJ already knows the answer. I think he just wants to hype you up, Danny. He's asking, is that a BMW garage behind you? Anyways,
Yes.
of course it is.
That's a BMW.
Well, not everybody knows, so
Everybody knows.
Not everybody, man. You gotta assume that not everybody knows.
All right, Nick Zaley's asking.
That's the Silver Horse Garage.
Yeah, Nick Zaley's
Silver Horse
asking. Are there any improvements on the new Mako X2?
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that. Yeah, the Mako X2 is it's a response to the 45 millimeter wing rule, right? With that, listen, the original Mako X had the wing on a much lower position. The original Mako GT has the wing real high. And one of the things that I never liked about that was the wing that was really high. Whenever I was doing the development on the Lexan bodies with Joe, I was like, hey, let's make the wing real low. And that's how the original Mako X was. It had a low wing. I like low wings. I don't like big wings. I don't like tall wings. I've always like they would measure my wings and they were like at 38 millimeters with the old Mako, with the old Mako X. Like that's how high I like it. I think the car drives better. It has a lower center of gravity. When you have the wing up high, the car stalls. So But Joe listened to some French people that liked the tall wing, and he raked it, and we got up to that 50 millimeter height. And when they changed that rule at PN, like it was too tall, and now for those that like big wings, they could no longer run big wings. So one of the things that they did that he did is he flattened out the wing in the rear, so that you can run a bigger wing to get that 45, and also you can run the smaller wing and get down to about 40. Um, the other thing is that you squared the edges in the back so that you can run it wider. You can run it all the way to 80, right? For those that like running 80 millimeters wide on their car in the rear. So you squared the edges in the back. The other thing is like the front has a little bit flatter profile to get a little more cut. And then in the rear, underneath the wing, there's a little bit of a gurney kind of kicker, kind of like a little, that's not really a flap, but there's a little bit of a spoiler in the back of the window for a little more overall downforce. The pillars for the front window are a little bit deeper. In Iowa, we started experimenting with running some Lexan little winglets on there, and we found that the car uh, was way more stable and it pivoted better along the center, and it increased the consistency. So he incorporated that into the body, and I haven't run it. I John and Joe did the most of the development on it. John is the one that's doing a lot of this work with Joe now. I don't run a lot often anymore, and I don't certainly don't run mod ever. So that's what I know they changed. It was in a way a response to the Xbility body that's very good. We needed to kind of get that gap back in a way, and I think that the body does it. Um, then of course we have the hyper skillet, right, which is just golly, that body is killer. It's an Ocho in hiding in a way. Like it has some features. It has much more downforce. It's a lot easier to drive. People like the GK body a lot, and one of the things about the GK body is that it pushed, right, and it was a lot more stable. And we just set out to make a body that was a lot more comfortable, had more downforce, and we took it even further. I mean, is it as good as an Ocho? I don't know. John has never liked the Ocho, for example. I've run it whenever I've run it. I've loved it, and everybody that runs it tends to favor it over the skillet. But PN World Cup, you can't run that body, so we needed something that was a response to that, and I think that Joe did a really good job with that body too. It's a step up in downforce. Is it the best for every condition? Maybe not, but now you have options. Just like you have Mako X and Mako X2 or Mako GT, they're all just options. They're going to drive a little bit different, and you're just going to have to kind of try them and see what envelope you like. But for sure, the hyper skillet has more downforce, and the Mako X probably does too.
Awesome. I don't think there's any more questions. So we're gonna wrap it up. It's an hour and a half.
Well, I still want to talk a little bit about a couple of things that
Sure.
we've been dealing with on the G3.
Okay, go ahead.
One piece of advice when you're building the center shock, some people have complained about the spring being too short. It's not too short. You guys are just adjusting droop from the wrong end. Always adjust the droop on the spring perch, not on the shock cap. The shock cap gets tightened all the way. You're obviously going to set your ride height with your spring collar. And then if you need to increase your shock length, lengthen the back. Whenever you lengthen this, you increase the preload on the spring. Whenever you lengthen this, you decrease the preload. So with the spring being shorter, if you increase the length of the shock cap, you can't get ride height. So always set your droop with the knurled spring perch. That's why it's got a knurl on it. This is where you should set your droop. And then obviously you set your preload with this. But if you increase your length of your shock by unscrewing, you're going to have to adjust the shock collar as well. That's one of the things that I've discussed. Two, the hobby wing motor hangs underneath the chassis 0.8 millimeters. This is by design. This is one of the biggest features of lowering the center of gravity on this car. Obviously, the majority of classes and the majority of use of this car is going to use a 15 millimeter can. And the 15 millimeter can is only like 0.3 millimeters underneath the chassis, so you don't have that big of an issue. But if your track is bumpy and you're having an issue with the motor hitting, what you have to do is you got to kick up your pod, right? Kick it up, drop the axle. When you set your ride height, what matters is the chassis being flat. The angle of the motor mount matters not, because the pivot is always going to be in the same spot. When you angle your motor pod, what you're doing is you got pro squat. So just drop the axle. If it's high here, it doesn't matter, because what matters is that the motor is going to come up, but it's still going to be lower than it was on the G2, where the bottom of the motor on a hobby wing was flat with the bottom of the motor mount. So you're still going to get the benefit of the lower center of gravity, but angling the pod is not a bad thing. That's called pro squat. On a track where you're bottoming out and you're hitting that, that's a bumpy track. Pro squat helps handling and the car drives better, right? So remember, it's like the F1. Everybody's like, oh, I can't get droop. No, like the way it's designed is that you're going to get a little bit of potting, right? Because this doesn't matter. The angle of this does not matter, because what matters is the distance of the axle and the tire on the ground. So whenever you do this, it's called pro squat. Or you got like that as neutral. This is anti-squat. Anti-squat prevents the car from squatting down. Pro squat gets the car through the bumps better, right? If it's a bumpy track, pro squat's your friend. The only thing you want to make sure that is the same is you want to keep your chassis flat. That's why whenever you measure your ride height, you measure it here and you measure it here, because you want to make sure the chassis is flat or a little bit high or a little bit low. When you're measuring your ride height at the back of the motor pod, you're not really compensating for that. You're only really going to be able to measure it in the event that your car is perfectly flat. And it's irrelevant, right? That doesn't matter. Pro squat is your friend. That'll get the motor mount, the motor a little bit higher. So if you have that issue, angle your pod a little bit. That's why we got adjustment for the shock. Remember, the pivot is right here and the pod's doing this, but the motor is going to get raised a little bit and it won't hit the track if that's what you're having. However, on the majority of tracks, and I think you're going to see this issue, like if you're running on a track that's like a bi-level track. I don't think that if you're running, or like it's extremely bumpy, but if you're running on a pretty normal track with a couple of bumps, the motor's never going to hit. You know, you'll see it. If it hits, it'll have black buildup on it. But in Jersey, we never had an issue with it. Now in Iowa, John was having a little bit of an issue with that, and we just added a little bit of pro squat. Now John's like sanded his motor, and I was like, dude, you should have just raised it. And he's like, oh, I don't want it to hit. I'm like, it's not going to hit, because the second the car bumps, the motor, the whole thing goes up. The only reason why it bottoms out is because you're going through a bump, right? So that's one thing. Those are the two things that I think people have been confused about. On the sway bar, a little tip that we figured out recently is right here in the middle of those two screws, you know, that little gap that goes under the sway bar holder. If you cut a tiny little piece of shrink wrap, right, and you shrink it on the wire just so that it doesn't move side to side, it helps the sway bar not move side to side. But it has to fit exactly in between that gap. You don't want to be pressing down on the shrink wrap. You just wanted to have it in that little gap. Tiny little piece of the finest, smallest heat shrink tubing you can get, and that'll keep it from sliding. That is another piece of advice. Can't think of any of the other things that we've been talking about.
Sam is asking, how do you get zero caster?
You don't. I mean, these guys, they're eyeballing it, but you can't. I mean, you shave the arm if you want, or maybe sand down the upper arm mount. But I know that John put it on his setup sheet. I wouldn't.
I actually thought
I
that
wouldn't
the
look.
zero synonymous with just completely forward. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Like the
it's probably
zero
closer to
position,
that.
not the zero.
I guarantee you that even if you moved it forward a little bit, listen, we needed to add camber. Like John kept trying to take camber and camber gain out of his car, and all we did was go in the opposite direction in Pennsylvania. Just run the mount forward and stop worrying about that stuff. You don't drive like John, you're never going to drive like John. And the ideal setting, the best cars were the customer cars. And that's the truth. Like Katona's car was incredible. Sand's car was really good, even though it's not a customer car. EJ's car was a customer was not a customer car, and it was very good. But just run it forward, run the 2-degree setting. That's all you got to worry about. Don't worry about zero. I don't think that 0 point. If John maybe shaved the arm a little bit or something, that could be something he
I
did.
just
But
think 'cause when he wrote zero, I think he just meant frontmost. Honestly,
I
Nick
don't know. I think he was talking about having less caster.
probably
So he tunes himself out of stuff like that. I mean, this is not a dig on him. It's just it probably don't worry about it, Sam. Just
Yep. Yep.
run it forward.
Nick, I don't know what you mean by this the spring perch shim. Can you elaborate on that statement?
Yeah. That's the other thing. Yes. Good. Thank you, Nick.
Mhm.
The manual says to run a shim on top of the spring perch in the rear. Nix that. Um, the spring perches were supposed to be thinner and they didn't come out thinner. So just eliminate that. It'll be a running change in the future, but it makes absolutely no difference. Just don't run the shim underneath in between the tweak brace and the spring perch. Take it out. You don't want that spring to be preloaded. Now,
Yep.
you can run it preloaded, but the car's going to be really nervous. So that's one thing that I would suggest is if you are experiencing a car is too touchy off center, take that shim off. You can get away probably with a 0.5 mil, but most of us are just taking it off, right? And that's what I told the people in Iowa. So that's that.
You mean Pottstown, not in Iowa.
Yeah, you're right. Pottstown.
Yep.
Pottstown, Iowa,
Same
all same.
difference. All right, final
With the S.
words. All right, we're wrapping it up. That's it with so many people. You know who you are. Give you a shout out. Your names are gonna appear in the video when we load it to up to YouTube. Any final words, Danny?
Well, one, thank you everybody for participating in this year's Grand Prix series.
You're welcome.
I promise next year is going to be even better. And it will continue to, get involved and help us all grow 128 scale. It's just, things are going really, 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 really well. We got a lot of great products coming on the market. We got manufacturers getting involved. It's just kind of feels like a good time to go up a level. So I think that's what we all need to do this next year.
Yep. Vegas is the first one. Danny, I'm sorry, Christian. Any final words? Tap Duck just posted a question. So the goal is to minimize preload on the side spring. So removing the shim will allow that. So what you want to do is you want the spring perch to top out or to touch the carbon fiber, so that you can minimize preload on the bottom
You don't necessarily want it to. What you want is you want the spring to just be touching
exactly
the bottom plate, right? That's what you want. Like
reverse coil. Mhm.
if it's putting pressure on it, like the car is going to be really nervous. You touch the steering wheel, it's gonna get really darty. Some people like that. I've run my car like that. You just put a little more preload because you got maybe like a really quick twitch left to right, but it also makes the car hard to drive in a straight line sometimes. So just nix those shims. Make sure that whenever you're setting preload, because those shims are 1 millimeter and those perches are 1 millimeter thicker than what they were supposed to be. So just eliminate them, right? Don't use them.
Yep.
Take them off.
He said thank you. All right, Christian. Any final words?
No, man. The only thing I ask you guys is just have a little bit of patience with us. We're working through all these products. We're trying to get everything ready for the PN World Cup.
Are you gonna
We
have
still
kits?
got more stuff.
Are you gonna have kits available for Christmas or no?
Oh yeah, the F1s sold out, but they're due in about 2 weeks. G3's due in about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It's a smaller batch because what we decided we're going to do is we're going to do smaller batches so we can get them more often. But there's still stores out there. I think Danny still has plenty of kits. There's plenty of kits out there. So if you're looking for some,
Micro RC got ours a little on the late side, so we've still got kits on the shelf.
so go after and look for some at Micro RC.
Shout out to Micro RC Syndicate.
I think Super G still has a couple, maybe Iron City. So they're out there, right? For one, and two, the next batch albeit smaller, will be early November, probably the week of or the week after the World Cup. Is when you're going to be looking at that second batch of G3s. I will have. I know that people asked about conversions. I don't know if we're going to do another round of conversion, guys. Like it depends on demand. If demand all of a sudden goes soft for the kit, and we have, but right now, this coming week, we'll have some spares like bulkheads and a couple of other items that are consumables. I know that we've been low on some of that stuff. We're just waiting for really for the storm to clear out and just to see where we are with what we have left over so we can put it in stock. But I do have some bulkheads on the way. We have a couple of other little option parts right before the PN World Cup that we'll release.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Are we gonna have a aftermarket spool? I know you said the
Yeah,
spool is gonna be
that's
available for the
that,
for the F1, but is it gonna be an aftermarket? We have an
that's
ETA.
coming this week.
This
That's coming this week.
let's go.
Yeah, the spool will be
So
ready this week.
how are you going to handle the yellow spur? Is are you working with Philip
It uses
or
it uses our gear diff spur. So
okay?
you can use the PN gear diff spur that he already makes.
Let's go. Okay.
Right. So it was designed to use our gear diff spur for that reason, because one, our gear diff spur is really, really good. It's really light. And we have the Phillips spur. I didn't want to have to use the ball diff spur. I do not like that spur that PN has. 12 balls and the oblong holes. Like I just don't think that spur works very well.
Okay.
So
Uh,
um
center shock, the new center shock with the thinner with the G3 center shock as an aftermarket part. When is the ETA
well,
or what's
it's
the
the
ETA?
same shock, right? Like the only thing that changed was the perch and the collar. The perch and the collar are on the website.
Okay.
So for right now, you kind of have to buy both. I don't have a date for the aftermarket because the majority of people, hey, just buy the collar and the perch. You already have the shock,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you need a shock, yeah, I know it's a pain in the butt to do it right now, but man, the factory is working overtime to get us product, and we still have a few of those shocks, of the older shocks, not many. Like, I mean, I'm probably down to a dozen, right? So if you want one, get one, buy the perch and the collar separate, so that you can fill that. Um, but that'll probably be late November, I guess, maybe December. Right now, we have a small restock of gear diffs, a small restock of ball diffs, the spools. We have a steel shaft for the ball diff. We have a steel left hub, um, to balance out. John likes a heavy diff in mod, so we made a steel axle, and we're also getting a steel left hub so that for the spool, in the case that we're maybe a little underweight because the spool does shed like 3 grams of weight off the car and it starts getting pretty low, that'll actually almost balance the drive of the car almost perfectly. So you can do that if you want. If you want a more straight accelerating car whenever you're running a spool, you can use that. Or for mod, where if you want your car to roll more, you use that steel diff uh, shaft and the steel hub. Just kind of a little more flywheel effect. I mean, I like aluminum shafts. I like a really light ball diff. Always have. John likes a heavy one. So it's one of those things. It's just an option. There's
Good to
no,
have options.
oh,
Yeah.
this is the best way to do it.
Unless
Uh,
unless you get stuck in Lonely Island in the top corner, you get stuck up there and sand comes around and bam,
oh,
Plows right through
cracks
you.
you
yep.
in the diff, and then my car don't run anymore because it's got a bent diff.
Yeah, and I will say that like the spool's like super light with a steel with a aluminum axle, but that's why I didn't win Iowa, right? Because I had lapped the field, or I was about to lap second in A2, and I tagged something, somebody hit me, and it broke my aluminum axle. So I put a
I
titanium
forget
shaft.
what practice with. Car's running fantastic. I literally just
I
catch the
know.
wall.
Sorry.
So
The one
I
time
we
I got
will
myself
have
hit.
we do have titanium spool shafts immediately,
Yeah.
right? So we'll have that as an aftermarket option as well.
Awesome.
And a lot of those guys are like, "Oh, spool! Like, what are you talking?" Yeah, we run it in the slower classes. I mean, I think the secret's out of the bag. Like, if you have enough grip, it works good. I think expected more people to be running a spool in Pottstown, but I think it was a mix of gear diff and spool.
Yeah.
The grip wasn't super insane high.
Yeah.
I like the spool, but I'm an on power driver, and you got to drive it on power, right? Because that's how you turn the car. You turn it on power. You drive it on power. It's almost like you drive it like a 10 scale touring car, where if you don't hit the gas, it won't rotate, right? It won't turn in. It's 2/10 or 2/10 faster, but 3/10 harder to drive, right? Like if you, so it's not for everybody, but we'll have them, and I think there'll be some people that'll probably run them at the PM World Cup in F1 and in 2500.
Yep.
We'll have them available.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I won't be at the PN Worlds, unfortunately. Got a trip planned with the wife. We're going heading off to Europe to have some fun, but good luck to everybody. Have
Yeah,
a
good luck.
great time. Have a great race. Gonna really miss being there. Being in Pottstown with everybody really made me feel like I was gonna miss out. But and everybody, good luck. Have a great race. We'll be watching. We'll be watching the streaming.
Awesome. Alrighty. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye
Thanks for
bye.
having me.
Good night.
Good night.